Then go. If it's really that bad, go. That's what I said, standing on the balcony. His friends, my coworkers, and 3 people I barely knew were all watching. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just smiled like it was a game. Like I was daring him. Like I wanted him to call my bluff. He didn't say a word. Not to me. Not to them. Not to anyone. He just looked at me like he didn't recognize the woman standing in front of him anymore. Then he walked through the glass doors, down the stairs, and straight out of my life. And I still had the nerve to raise my champagne glass and pretend it didn't burn. Everyone thought it was a spat. One of those dramatic, tipsy couple moments that passes by morning. But it wasn't, because when I got home that night, his keys were on the counter. And his closet? Empty. Not a single hanger left. The next morning, our shared account was frozen. The following week, I got a letter from a lawyer I'd never heard of, from a city we'd never been to, informing me that Mr. Braden Reams formally declines reconciliation or mediation. All further communication should be directed through legal channels. That's when the unraveling began. But if you're wondering what I did to deserve this, I wish I could say it was just one thing. The truth? It was all of it. All the games. All the jokes I made at his expense in public because they made me feel bigger. All the times I rolled my eyes when he needed reassurance instead of just giving it. All the subtle digs, the comparison to his more ambitious brother, the forgotten anniversaries, the emotional cold shoulder I pretended was just being independent. And it all climaxed the night I made a show out of humiliating him in front of people who used to admire us. Now, they look at me like I'm glass. Like if they tap too hard, the truth might spill. Well, here it is. I shattered my own marriage like it was nothing. And now I'm left picking up pieces that were never even mine to begin with. I thought he'd be back by morning. I mean, Braden's walked out before. Never like that, but we've had fights. Big ones. Silent treatment for days kind of fights. But he always came back. Sometimes with flowers. Sometimes with that look in his eyes that said, I'm trying, even if I don't know how. But not this time. That morning I made coffee like usual, only to realize his mug wasn't in the sink. It wasn't anywhere. Neither was his toothbrush. His hoodie wasn't on the hook. And our wedding photo? The one on the hallway shelf that I used to hate because I thought it made us look too cheesy. It was gone too. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. Not yet. I told myself he was bluffing. That he was trying to teach me a lesson. I even texted him. So you're really gonna go full dramatic exit now? I added a laughing emoji. He didn't reply. I saw the message get read. Nothing. I waited an hour. Then I sent another. Can we talk like adults? Still nothing. By afternoon I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. That's when I remembered. He'd once said if he ever truly left, no one would see it coming. You'll think it's another one of our fights, he'd said once, months ago, during a stupid argument over the thermostat. But the real one? You won't even hear the door shut. He was right. By day 2, his email was deactivated. By day 3, our joint savings had been split in half, precisely, legally, without emotion, like he'd planned it all out. He must have. No one moves this fast unless they've already started leaving long before they physically walk out. That part wrecked me. The idea that maybe he'd been planning his exit while still sleeping beside me, while kissing me on the forehead like nothing was wrong. While I was too busy mocking his sensitive phases to realize I was burning down the only man who ever really saw me. And the worst part? No one reached out. Our mutual friends? Silent. His family? Cold. My coworkers, the ones who'd seen me humiliate him at the party? They avoided eye contact, pretending they didn't know. But they knew. Because someone posted a video. Not the full thing. Just the part where I smirk and say, if it's that bad, go. You can see the shift in his eyes, not anger. Something worse. Clarity. You can hear the quiet between us louder than the music behind us. You can see me smiling while the man who loved me more than I ever deserved walks away for good. That clip has been watched over 40,000 times. No one's defending me in the comments. And now, I'm starting to wonder, did he really leave that night? Or had I been pushing him away one joke, one eye roll, one cruel comment at a time, and just never noticed he was already gone? By the end of the week, I broke. I stopped pretending he'd text. I stopped checking the driveway. I stopped blaming him, and finally turned the mirror on myself. I wanted to scream at something, anything, but all I had was silence. And silence is loud when it's earned. It echoes. I tried going through his things, or what was left of them. A few old chargers, an empty cologne bottle, some dusty books he never finished reading. But he was smart. He didn't leave a trail. Except for one thing. It was behind the bottom drawer of his desk. The desk I hated because it was too bulky and too bachelor-looking for our minimalist apartment. I had shoved it into the corner of our guest room, thinking I'd replace it someday. But he'd kept it, and now I knew why. I had to wrestle the drawer out. And behind it, taped flat against the wood, was a thin black envelope. No name, no note, no explanation. Inside were 4 printed screenshots, not digital, not emailed, not saved on any device. Printed. That was his way of saying, I know you delete the evidence. The first was a text conversation between me and my friend Callie. The one where I joked about Braden being emotionally constipated and said maybe I'd be happier if he just grew a spine or grew up. The second was a cropped image of me at that same cabin party I swore was just for coworkers, laughing in a way that even I couldn't defend anymore. Wyatt's hand on my waist. Me not pulling away. The third was worse. It was a group chat I'd long forgotten, where I told 2 of my coworkers I'd married safe, and that sometimes I wondered what it would have been like to choose chaos instead. I don't even remember writing that, but I did. The 4th screenshot was the last message I ever sent Braden. So you're really gonna go full dramatic exit now? Face with tears of joy. Underneath it, in red pen, he had circled the emoji. Not the words, just the emoji. Like that was the part that broke him. That I laughed. That even in the moment he was shattering, I still had to be clever. Dismissive. Cold. I stared at that envelope for hours. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there on the floor, wondering what kind of person finds receipts for their own cruelty and still tries to blame the other person. He never needed to yell. Never needed to post anything. He didn't try to expose me. He didn't burn my clothes or key my car or show up at my work screaming. He just left the truth where I could find it and walked away knowing it would hurt more than anything he could have said. And he was right, because in all the years we were together, I never truly listened to him. But now I hear him every time the silence gets too loud. I tried calling his mom. Yes, I know how that sounds, but I was desperate. And Brenda always liked me, or at least she pretended to. I figured if anyone could tell me where Braden went, it would be her. I imagined she'd answer with that polite voice, ask if I was okay, maybe hint at where he'd gone. Instead, she answered with 3 words. Don't call here. Then she hung up. That's when it hit me. He wasn't just avoiding me. He'd turned the whole board. Quietly. Precisely. The man I used to mock for being too passive had mobilized a full exit strategy without leaving behind a single breadcrumb I could use. But I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. I tried his best friend, Nathan. I even drove to his house unannounced. Nathan opened the door halfway, like he already knew why I was there. You're not going to find him, he said, leaning on the frame. And if you're hoping he'll come back, you don't understand what you did. I wanted to scream at him. What I did. All I ever did was push, tease, joke. Was that a crime now? But I didn't say anything. Because the way Nathan looked at me, it was pity. And something colder underneath. Like he didn't see me as a person anymore. Just a story he regretted being part of. Did you help him disappear? I asked. He didn't blink. He didn't need help. He just needed clarity. That line rattled in my head all night. He just needed clarity. That's the thing about Braden. He never exploded. He never raged. He absorbed every insult, every humiliation, every moment I dismissed his needs as too sensitive or not that deep. And now that silence had become his weapon. The next day, I got a call from my bank. A polite woman informed me that my name had been legally removed from the deed on a cabin I didn't even know Braden owned. Apparently, he'd bought it under a separate LLC 6 months ago. The paperwork had been filed. Lawyers paid. Trusts assigned. He was liquidating assets I never even knew existed. I stood there in the kitchen, on the cold tile floor, wondering if he had started planning his escape while still making me coffee. If every "I love you" was already laced with a goodbye, I was too self-absorbed to notice. That night, I opened our old shared photo folder. I clicked through the vacations, the birthdays, the blurry selfies, trying to find clues, trying to spot the moment his smile turned into something else. But the scariest part was, it never did. He smiled for me right up until the end. Like he wanted me to believe everything was fine, so that when he finally left, it would hurt more. He didn't run. He vanished methodically, not out of spite, but out of a kind of precision that made me wonder, did I ever really know him at all? And if I didn't, Who was I married to all those years? I was starting to accept that I might never see him again. That realization didn't come like a crash. It came slowly, in waves. I'd reach for my phone in the morning expecting a notification from him, and instead find silence. Again, I'd scroll through our old messages until I landed on that final one, the one with the laughing emoji. And every time I saw it, I hated myself just a little more. Then, something changed. Not from Braden, from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Mallory. She was his ex. The one before me. The one I used to hate, mostly because I knew he didn't. Not completely. They had ended badly, and I used to use that against him in fights, like a loaded weapon I thought I had the right to fire. At least I don't abandon people like she did, I'd once said. He didn't reply then, either. I get it now. So when I saw her name on my phone, I almost didn't pick up. But I did. I wasn't going to get involved, she said immediately, like she was reading from a script she didn't want to perform. But he asked me to call you. If, and only if, you started looking for him. I froze. My throat went dry. Why you? I asked, barely managing to get the words out. Because I already broke him once, she said. And you finished the job. There was a long silence. Not awkward, heavy. I could hear her breathing on the other end. Calm. Measured. Almost too calm. He doesn't want revenge, she continued. He just wanted you to feel what he felt. That's all. I didn't cheat. I blurted out, defensively, like that was supposed to earn me points. I didn't. No, she cut in. You didn't cheat. But you mocked him until he stopped speaking. You laughed at his boundaries. You made his softness feel like a weakness. I did it too. Difference is, I left. You made him stay. I had nothing to say. For the first time since this started, my brain just stopped. I felt hollow, like my ribs were full of wind. Then she said it. He wrote you a letter. A real one. Paper, ink, his handwriting. I have it. He said if you ever called enough people to land on me, I could give it to you. Otherwise, it stays locked. I asked for it. I begged for it. But Mallory just said, not yet. Instead, she gave me an address. It was 3 hours away. A town I'd never heard of. She said, go there. If you still want the letter after what you see, then maybe you're ready for it. I should have refused. I should have screamed that I didn't owe Braden some scavenger hunt to earn closure. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew I didn't deserve the letter yet. Not until I understood what he walked away from, and what he walked into instead. I drove in silence for most of the 3 hours. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of my own breath and the endless stream of thoughts I couldn't turn off. I rehearsed what I'd say if I saw him. Apologies, explanations, lies I still wanted to believe were true. But mostly I was scared, not of seeing him, but of what he might have become without me. The town was smaller than I imagined. One gas station, one diner, no streetlights after the main road. The address Mallory gave me led to an old bookstore with ivy creeping up the bricks and a bell above the door that jingled when I stepped inside. It smelled like wood and rain and something else, something familiar. A woman at the front counter looked up. Maybe mid-40s, silver hair in a braid, eyes that felt like they'd already judged me. You're here for the room, she said before I even opened my mouth. I nodded. She handed me a key. No receipt. No paperwork. Second floor, end of the hall. It's already unlocked. I hesitated on the stairs. Everything in me wanted to run. This felt too cinematic, too strange, like a dream sliding toward nightmare. But I went up. The door creaked open. And that's when I realized this wasn't Braden's room. It was mine. Not literally, of course. But it was filled with pieces of me. Little things. A copy of my favorite book from college, dog-eared exactly how I used to mark chapters. A scarf I lost years ago in a park I barely remember visiting. A Polaroid photo of me from some birthday party, smiling in a way I hadn't in years, the kind of smile you give when you think no one's watching. The walls were lined with notes. Pinned, taped, tucked into corners. Every single one was something I'd said to him over the years. Some cruel, some careless, some completely forgettable to me. But not to him. I'm not your therapist, Braden. You always make everything about your feelings. God, why can't you just be normal for once? Each one hit like a slap I hadn't realized I'd delivered. I stood in that room surrounded by echoes of myself, and for the first time, I felt the full weight of what it meant to live with someone who records your pain, not in rage, but in silence. In the center of the room, on the desk, was a single envelope. My name, handwritten. No return address. I didn't open it. Not yet. Because something told me that once I read what was inside, there'd be no going back. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for the version of myself he saw. I stared at the envelope for a long time. Part of me hoped it would vanish if I blinked hard enough. Like none of this had happened. The party, the silence, the people turning their backs, the trail of wreckage I left behind without realizing it. But the envelope didn't move. It just sat there, quiet and heavy, like it knew everything I didn't want to face. I opened it. Braden's handwriting was neat. Too neat. Every line deliberate, like he'd written and rewritten it in his head 100 times before putting pen to paper. There were no tear stains, no rage scribbles, just control. And that somehow made it worse. Brenna, I'm not writing this to make you feel guilty. If guilt was enough to fix things, we wouldn't be here. I'm writing because silence feels dishonest when it's the only thing you notice. You always said I overthought things. Maybe you were right. But that's also how I survived loving someone who couldn't see the damage in her words. I remembered everything, not because I wanted to, but because it was safer to keep track. Safer to anticipate the next joke at my expense before it hit. I don't think you ever meant to be cruel. I think you learned that being sharp made people listen. And I let it slide because I thought, deep down, you'd soften eventually. You never did. The worst part wasn't the party. It was the moment I realized I had to perform pain for you to believe I felt it. That unless I cried or shouted or begged, it didn't count. So I walked away with nothing but clarity. I didn't leave to punish you. I left to finally choose peace over potential. I kept waiting for the version of you who didn't need to win every fight, who didn't need to be the clever one, the one who could be kind without a punchline. You didn't show up, but I hope someday she will. Not for me, for you. Braden. By the end of the letter, my hands were trembling. Not from grief. I don't think I even earned that yet, but from shame. I always thought I was the strong one in the relationship, the bold one, the one who knew how to lead. But Braden didn't follow me. He endured me, and when he was done enduring, he didn't explode or seek revenge. He just made sure I'd never forget. And I won't, because now, even silence sounds like him. I didn't leave the bookstore room right away. I sat there for hours, just breathing, the letters still open on the desk, the walls still whispering things I used to say without thinking. It felt like a museum of a person I didn't want to be anymore, but finally understood I had been. I thought closure would come from hearing Braden's voice again. A message, maybe. One last conversation where we'd cry and scream and maybe even laugh. But that letter, it was enough. More than enough. Because for the first time, I didn't need to talk. I needed to listen. I stayed in that town for 2 days. I walked the quiet streets, ate at the tiny diner he might have eaten at, sat by the lake and watched the fog roll in every morning like it was hiding something. I didn't find him. I wasn't meant to, but I did find something else. Myself, without the mask. For years, I wrapped my identity in being sharp, in control, untouchable. I thought being soft was weak, that needing someone too much meant they could destroy you. But it turns out, you can destroy someone just as easily by never letting them feel safe to be real with you. Braden didn't leave because he stopped loving me. He left because I never gave him space to love without armor. And maybe that was the point. He gave me silence so I could finally hear the version of myself that was buried under all the noise. So I started therapy. I cut off the friends who cheered on my sarcasm but never challenged my cruelty. I apologized to the people I'd hurt. Some forgave me, some didn't, but I meant every word. I started writing again, not for an audience, just for clarity. And in those pages, I stopped trying to explain myself and started trying to understand myself. It's been 11 months since that night on the balcony. I don't know where Braden is. I don't know if he's met someone new. I don't even know if he thinks about me anymore. But I do know this. If I ever see him again, even from across the street, even for 1 second, I won't say, "Come back." I'll just whisper, "Thank you." Because some people leave your life not to hurt you, but to wake you up. And Braden's silence was the loudest, kindest wake-up call I never saw coming.